if you've seen our inspiration projects and so on, we do a lot of projects around the world, and the idea is that we solve socioeconomic problems beside proving the concept that we are trying to bring to the world about solving problems with minimal resources, or I mean minimum financial resources, and optimizing the non-financial resources, which is including, of course, the inspiration currency, which we are calling for, and so on. It is very similar to behavioral economics, and if you heard about behavioral economics. So my background, I work on my PhD in knowledge economy, even though I'm a medical physicist and my background multidisciplinary. We call for multidisciplinary approaches for solving problems through holistic. Nice. Yeah. So, and we believe people can change lots of of our life. We can change it only when we get engaged with the communities. And this is what we are trying to encourage, through our academic programs. We are offering PhD, master, and diploma. And beside, we are trying to, through these interns and so on, and youth all over the world, to really excite them or make them really engage with their communities through different projects, which we sponsor with minimal, again, resources. That's the idea again. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we can begin in a moment. All right.
Sure. And when we begin, I'll be sharing some slides. So if you can just enable slide sharing so I can do that, that'd be great.
Yes, definitely, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can you confirm, Ramli, with the other team members or team leaders? They are there?
Yes.
Anyway, so far we are 21. So I expect that maybe some of them will come.
Yes, sir. So actually a little bit of network issues here and there. So yeah, a little bit late.
Okay. Yeah, some of the interns, or majority of the interns, from Africa, Dr. Rita.
Very nice.
So they have always, a network problem. So we'll see them come and go like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good that you're recording the session so that even if there's a network issue, at least people can watch later on and you have a record. So that's nice.
Right. That's what we do usually.
Very good.
Yeah. And actually, we are trying to, even our education programs, we're trying to deliver courses in low bandwidth techniques. So using WhatsApp, using different techniques that we don't, let's say, alienate people who don't have proper access, and they can, do something for their community. That's difficult, but we tried it, and with our faculty in Sudan and these people, we do the session through WhatsApp. So that's for them WhatsApp, because it's low bandwidth, it can work. Zoom cannot work usually, and so on. So that's
So I'll be introducing first. So on behalf of IIIE, I am Rimli Das, and I take my delight on extending our warm welcome to our esteemed guests and each and every one present here. Ever since its establishment in 2015 by its founder, Dr. Muhammad Buheji and Dr. Dunya Ahmed, IIIE has brought together academics, scientists, public service leaders, social entrepreneurs, and many more. And all of those with passion for utilizing or targeting inspiration to bring about a positive change in the lives of people. As Dr. Buheji always says, it is the people who have a busy schedule and yet have the motivation to find time and energy to bring a positive impact in the community who are really inspiring. Today, we are to listen to our honored guests, Dr. Rita Kakoti, Ma'am, you are a multi-award-winning career strategist, advisor to Fortune 500 companies, author, TV show host, and many more. You are the founder of UMA, which is an international diversity and inclusion coaching, consulting, and corporate training platform that has empowered confidence, inspires success, and builds leadership and resilience in women and minorities around the world. You have been presented numerous prestigious accolades and honors for your contribution. You are a distinguished alumna of King's College London and have served in the King's Business School Advisory Council. Your work illuminates the aspirations of many, and thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your most precious time. So without any further delay, Farheen would like to tell a few words about the program, internship program that we have. Farheen, please continue.
A very warm good evening to one and all. First of all, thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. Today, I'm here to tell you guys about the internship that we are going under this IIEP program. So without further delay, let me speak about it. To develop and accelerate the best practices of inspiration economy across the world, Dr. Mohammad Boheji founded the International Institute of Inspiration Economy, an organization along with his co-founder Dr. Dunia Ahmed in Southern Central Europe in Slovenia in August 2015, with the aim that IIIE will bring together academics, scientists, business owners, public service leaders, practitioners, youth activists, innovators, business entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and all those with the passion for utilizing or targeting inspiration to carry out many activities that would promote and spread the importance and value of inspiration economy and its relevant impact on our future societies. To follow these goals, IIIE organizes our internship programs under them, which is dedicated to the students of universities and some pioneers of high school who would like to contribute to their community. It aims to teach the interns.
International.
Hello? Sorry for the interruption. Let me continue again. It aims to teach the interns about how economy can inspire with a belief in the concept, learn by doing, and know more about inspiration economy and its projects. It visualizes making out of this youth the future leaders of inspiration economy and its project. It visualizes making out of this youth the future leaders of inspiration economy in general, and then the international inspiration economy projects especially. This internship also comes with many benefits for the interns, along with preparing them to become future leaders for inspiration economy. They get to know how to do research, learn how to do case studies, and write research papers to get the opportunities to conduct projects in NGOs and projects on sustainable development, sustainable tourism, etc. for real development of the communities. It also helps the interns to gain knowledge and increase the potential through educational tools, which is actually very helpful for the interns. It also helps the interns to gain international context and get exposure to global world. Along with all it, it helps them to build confidence and potential that will help to present themselves in international conferences and become future sustainable project leaders. As we enter the fifth week of our internship, we have learned so much with the help of the project that are given to us on various topics that deals with different issues like migration problems, how to make communities economically sustainable, to being vocal for the local and inclusive. And we are looking forward to learn so much more under our mentors. And at the end, I would like to say a thank you to the founders and team leaders along with our guests who are helping us, all the interns, to become a change maker by giving us opportunities of learning under them and believing on us that today, the way they are helping us and by making us learn all this, we can become a change leader and a change maker in the future and help all of them help our society. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farheen. So please, if you may say a few words.
Yeah, I'm very happy again to have Dr. Rita with us today, and I thank her for giving us this opportunity. especially for our interns who are excited to meet you. And actually, they recommended your name. So it shows that you are popular among the youth, which is the most important thing for our future, for the future of this world. And I think the topic you're going to talk about is very relevant to inspiration economy, youth economy, resilience economy, which are the ones under the International Inspiration Economy Project that we are spreading all over the world. And we hope that this topic will be exciting them also to do some projects relevant to that for sure. Thanks a lot, Dr. Rita, for your time again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Dunya, ma'am, would you please like to say a few words?
Yes, first, good afternoon, or I don't know, different times. So hello to everyone. I'm really happy to see you all again. And thanks, the main thanks goes for our main speaker today, dear Rita. And I'm happy that the time you are willing to give with all your commitments, being in another country. I know when someone is very busy, but that shows how passionate you are about youth and how do you care about them. And I'm sure that whatever you are going to talk to them about today, it's going to give them an extra inspiration so they can be more inspired youth. And it will affect this community, their communities in a better way. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Rita, would you please like to begin, ma'am? Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for that wonderful introduction and also the background of the great work you're doing at the IIEP right now, because it's so important, in this world that we live in. Look at us today. We come from different countries, different cities, different continents around the world, and yet we are connected, right? You have come from intern backgrounds. You're looking at future careers. There are skills. You're thinking how to make the world a better place, how to do it in a sustainable way, how to do it with lower cost, and yet benefit your own communities and cultures and progress forward. So this is a very powerful statement, a very powerful mission. So I commend you on the work you're doing today. And today I will be talking to you about confidence essentials, because this is a big, big part of your future. It's a big part of really something that is the thread that underlines everything that happens in the future, whatever career prospects, whatever future potentials you have. So without further ado, I'm now going to share my slides that I've prepared for today. So just give me 1 second, I'll pull them up. And then I'll just ask you quickly to give me a thumbs up when you can see me or see the slides. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Perfect, thank you, wonderful. All right, so I'm glad you can see this. So confidence essentials is what we're going to talk about today. So I would like to begin by just giving you an overview of what my journey has been and really why I got into this confidence space in the first place. And then we're going to talk about, confidence. What is it? Where do we see this exactly? Where does this all come from? Then the power of confidence. What is the power of self-belief? Then we're going to go through confidence mantras, something that I certainly believe in and I have seen the benefit that can really conduct. Then we're going to look at preparation, perception, and what I like to call power poses, and then a summary before we hand over to any questions that you might have. So I would like this to be an interactive session. So during the session, I will be calling upon you. So feel free to raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself to say something, or write in the chat function. And then perhaps Rimli, I might ask you if somebody's reading in the chat, just to kind of tell me what somebody has said. And then that'll be great. So a little bit about my journey. I was born and brought up in London. My family come from Assam, Northeast India, and they settled in the UK many, many years ago. So my brother and I, we were born in London. I did all my schooling there. I went to King's College London, as you mentioned in my intro, where I actually studied mathematics and management. Now, before I started mathematics and management, I studied medicine. My parents wanted me to be a doctor. Certainly in the tradition of, it's a very Indian tradition, especially in Assamese and Assamese tradition as well. It's, you know, it's a security as well. When you go to an overseas country, you go to a profession such as medicine or law or something like that. So my parents really, really wanted me to be a doctor. So I did that for 2 years. I did my preclinical medicine. And before I went into clinical medicine, that's when I thought, you know what, it might be the best career for my parents' generation. And although I commend everything the medical profession do, it didn't feel right to me. So I remember for me, that was my first step of how I came out of my comfort zone, because I didn't know as a student, as a young person, that I was getting out of my thing and becoming confident to actually say that I want to go in a different direction. And I think in this day and age, it is easier for students to do that, people of your group, when you want to do something different. But in my day, it was a little bit harder to do that. So the first area of confidence for me was switching and then going to King's College London. It was all part of the University of London, so it was quite a relatively straightforward switch. And I went into a completely different area, and I started my career after mathematics and business management in finance. I went into investment banking, a multinational bank called Goldman Sachs at their London headquarters. And that's where I started my career. I knew nothing about this area. As I mentioned, my family aren't from that area. I didn't have that support. I went into this area. I went into my degree because I wanted to learn. And I wanted to learn because I was curious to know about the future. I wanted to learn for myself. How do I educate myself in order to impart that to the rest of the world, rather than doing something to make somebody else happy? So it was a very big and quite a symbolic transition in my life. So I entered the scope of banking, and I started off on the trading floor in the area of pan-European sales trading. I was the only woman in my team for quite a while, and certainly from my part of the world, I was certainly one of very few folks there. So I naturally fell into the space of what nowadays the rest of the world we call diversity and inclusion. It's now a phrase, it's something people use a lot. But in my day, this was in the year 2000, it wasn't really something that existed as a terminology. It was just by virtue of being the first of one of few of. And I'm a people person, I'm a connector, I love to meet people. That's really how I got into the space, trying to help and do good for others. So fast forward 10 years, I spent 10 years in finance. I then transitioned. A family friend approached me and asked me if I could help them set up a business in the States, in the pharmaceutical industry, in central nervous system, CNS, drug development, so specifically to do with neurology and psychiatry. So I thought, why not? This is a great new opportunity. It's to do with business. I certainly had that background now from my degree and my finance background. And I thought this is great and a great opportunity. And I was in business development. That actually meant I got to travel around the world, meeting key opinion leaders, specialists, specifically in the CNS, the central nervous system, neurology and psychiatry backgrounds. So anyone who was in the forefront of research, I co-authored papers with them. I got involved in the research. It was a fantastic opportunity to really get involved in this brand new area. Those travels going back and forth around the world brought me to New York, which is where I now live. And I moved here. I met my now husband, got married, and settled in New York. And it was a transition for me. You know, I was traveling to New York, traveling around the world so many times, but actually living in a different country can really have a big impact. You know, you're leaving your family, your education, you're starting brand new, you're having to get your own credit rating built up through getting a credit card, getting your work permits, all of that set up. It takes time and it can take an adjustment. And quite often we forget about that adjustment that it naturally takes. So I did that and settled in New York, and I have 2 children now, a boy and a girl. My daughter is 7, my son is 9. And when they were very young, I took about 3.5, almost 4 years off to raise them. And then I realized that, wow, out of all of the many careers, and I call it a career because it very much was work, being that full-time mother, was probably the toughest job I'd ever done. You know, not only was you're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you never take a break. It's nonstop, and you are constantly there for them in every way possible. You are giving everything to the next generation. You are making them better. You are training and educating them. So for me, this is the most involved role I'd ever done, and certainly the most fulfilling. But I noticed there was a big gap that I noticed with the perception of this minority group and the workforce. Certainly in countries like the USA, where I live, and in the UK, where I was born, there is certainly a big gap between, you know, once you might have taken time to raise your children, if your children are old enough and you want to go back into the paid workforce, it's a very difficult thing to do. So I set up my own company called UMA to really focus on how can you help with this? What can you do to empower and inspire the next generation? Anybody out there who's ever questioned or doubted themselves, what can you do to help them better? So confidence is really at the core of that. It's really something that embeds everything that I think of, that I believe in, that certainly my company UMA believes in as well. So today, we've really, the aim of today is to create this unshakable self-confidence, really to communicate effectively as future leaders that you are all going to become in this new world that we live in. So before we get started, I've got a quick poll for you guys. So I'd love you to maybe write in the chat function, or, you know, you can say that, have you ever lost confidence or had self-doubt? Just put a yes or a no in the chat function. I can put my own hand up and say, yes, I've lost confidence myself. I can see some thumbs up there. It's something that can impact every single person. And then Rimli, if you can just let me know the kind of responses that are coming in the chat function, that would be great.
It's all yeses, ma'am.
All yeses, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know, confidence, self-doubt is something that affects everybody. It doesn't discriminate by your age, by whether you're a boy or a girl, your profession. You could be a celebrity, you could be a politician, you could be a student, you could be a child, an accomplished, wise adult. But at some point, you may have lost your confidence or just doubted your own ability. And that's the key to know. This is something that affects all of us. So I'm going to ask you now another few questions, and I just want you to just be, you know, open about what you think is the responses here. So which of these options do you think it's something you might have personally felt, or something that you have seen happens to others? How many of these things that you think actually affects your confidence and your level of how much you believe in yourself? Your appearance, your gender, are you male or are you female? What about your social status? What is your ranking in society? What about personal experience? Everything above. What do you think? Just feel free to put in the chat function, or if you want to, you know, raise your hand and say something, that's totally fine. And there's no right and wrong answer to these. It's whatever you're feeling at the time.
And there are varied answers out here.
Great. Do you want to read some of the answers out? I can't see the chat, so.
Yeah, most are saying it's all of the above.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing, because it really depends on where you are in your life. You know, different circumstances, different experiences can lead to you choosing any of the options. But I would agree with you. I think it actually is an element of all of the above. You know, if you've woken out of bed and you're late, and you're going to a meeting and something, you're not just feeling quite right, you're not dressed the part, you can be self-conscious in that way. Sometimes you can walk into a room and you are the only woman in a room, or you're the only man in a room, or you're the youngest person, or it's a function and everybody's, you know, having something, you know, to eat that's meat, and you're vegetarian or whatever it is. There could be something there that you feel discriminated against, and it can affect your confidence. And personal examples, there is always something that we have that have impacted us personally that may or may not even have a bearing on somebody else. So I think all of these together can value and really, really change how we think, what goes on in our heads. It can affect the state of your mind. It can affect how you feel, your own body. It can make you sweat. It can make you nervous. It can affect your body chemistry. But ultimately, the way I like to think is that we are in control of what happens with our confidence. You know, there's that saying that we can't control what happens in the world. The world just gives us things, right? But what we can control is our reaction to that. And this is where it comes in. This is something that we ourselves can do. So here, it's something that I would love to kind of just share with you some of these insights. I like to think of confidence as a muscle, like riding a bike, like learning to walk for the first time. You have to crawl first. You have to keep falling down before you can get up, right? But the more you exercise the confidence muscle, the stronger it becomes. So today we're doing this session, but it's not just today. After today, I want you to keep practicing whatever resonates from today, but keep practicing it. Go over and over again. Make it a muscle that it just comes out more naturally. It's something that you all have inside of you already. You know, I named my company Uma because in Hinduism in India, we have a goddess, the goddess Uma, and she's full of confidence. She's full of empowerment. She's really determined. She fulfills the role. She happens to be a mother. She happens to be a daughter. She happens to be a sibling. She happens to be a wife. She really depicts a lot of the roles, particularly women, but everybody at some point have in their lives. So this is somebody that with all of that, she has this power, and it's that power that I like to share with the rest of the world. So when you think of what do we mean by confidence comes from within, it could be how you talk. How does your voice sound in this moment? What about your inner strength? You know, are you feeling like today's that day that, yep, I can do this, or you know what, I'm not feeling so good today, or I've got an ache here, I'm not quite feeling it, you know, things aren't quite there. What about that fight or flight, that I have to get this, that passion, that fighting spirit? We all know we've had that. We all know we've lost it as well. But these are the things that brings it, that firing, fighting spirit, it comes from within us. This is what helps to develop that muscle memory that we talked about above. And this is what we're going to be striving for. I like to use the phrase, you know, you hear, some of you might have heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. The phrase I like to use is fake it till you become it. You know, the more you practice and do it over and over and over again, you've got this. You become that vision of yourself. You become that amazing presenter. You become that manager, that leader in whatever profession you're in at the moment. But that happens the more you do it and the more you believe in yourself. So when we look at that, first of all, I want to look a little bit about just characteristics associated with confidence that you might think of. So anything that, when you think of a confident person, it could be a parent, it could be a school teacher, it could be somebody that is a role model in your life, it could be a politician, it could be any of the people in the room here today, it could have been some of your teachers, some of your professors, some of the people that you've learned from. Think of some of the personality traits about what makes them confident, what stands out about them. And if you can just write a few phrases in the chat, that would be great. And then we'll look at those in a moment. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever you think, if you think of somebody confident, what is it about them that makes them confident? Think of words. It could be the way they're standing, the way they look. It could be somebody speaking on TV or singing a song, and there's something about them that they just seem so confident. But what is it about them that makes you think they're confident? And I'll give you a few moments, and then I'll ask Rimli to have anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to read out what's in the chat so far?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I said personality and aura, and there are a few answers. Yeah, there are a few answers like charisma. There are like the experience that they went through, the way they speak.
Yes,
they are varied.
Experiences, absolutely, yeah, 100%. So these are things that are varied, and if there's more that's coming in, please feel free to read them out, Rimli. I can see the chat's going up in numbers.
Yes, their level of acceptance.
Level of acceptance, yeah.
Again, one personality.
Yeah, personality.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
So that's exactly what it is. Confidence means so much more to different people. It's not just one size fits all. It's something different to lots of different people, right? So when we think of that, we think of different sort of traits. And I'll share those in a moment with you. So one of the traits of confidence is, when you state a fact, but you do it in a questioning tone of voice. And I put here, the reason I put women is because statistics shows it happens actually more to women than men, but it's important for everybody to be aware of this. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. So I'm going to say something which is factual, but I'm going to say it in two different ways. One is I'm going to say, hi, my name is Rita. The other one I'm going to say is, hi, my name is Rita. So the first example, I just said it in a one-tone voice, like, hi, I'm Rita, like, boom, that's a fact. The next one, my name is Rita. I might be saying that because I might be speaking to a room full of people that have never heard the name Rita before, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. So what I do is I question the top of my voice so that if they haven't heard of it, it's totally fine. I'm being overly empathetic because women actually tend to have a bit more empathy when you look at the stats out there. But what happens with that is that to the audience, they're not seeing that, oh, she's being so kind and empathetic to us. They're going to think she doesn't even know her own name, right? So think about when you say things, if you're saying something assertive as a fact, boom, you're given a point of view, versus if you raise your voice, how it comes across to the other person. It looks like you don't have the confidence. It looks like you're questioning yourself, right? So that is just something to bear in mind. And some of what we've already talked about, some of these things about self-doubt, some of these things about not believing yourself, this is what can lead to you not believing in yourself, and that is imposter syndrome. It's where you have been asked to do a presentation, to give a speech, to do something that you do and you know you can do. But for whatever reason, just before you do it, you suddenly doubt yourself and you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Or what am I doing up here? You feel like a fake, a fraud, an imposter. But this is caused because of our own self-doubt and our own spinning around. Right? But here's the thing about imposter syndrome. When you're given a presentation, imagine if 5 of you in the room today were given the same presentation, the identical presentation. For example, when I started today's presentation, I talked about my personal story. I'm giving you examples from my life experience. Similarly, if 5 of you were meant to give the same presentation, you would do it in 5 different ways because you have your own personal stories, your own personal journey, which would be difficult and different to mine, right? So the point is, you are all unique, and that is something to bear in mind. Don't just sort of come down and think, I can't do it. Think, I can do this, and I'm going to do it my way. Take ownership of the task, right? The other thing that can be linked with, doubting yourself is your own body language. You could be standing on stage, and are you kind of moving around a lot? Are you doing this with your hands? Are you playing with your hair? Are you doing things? Are you looking around? What's going on with your body? Are you standing still? Similarly, on Zoom today, we're remote. Are you sitting like this? Are you looking down? Are you on your phone at the same time? What about me? I'm presenting to you. What if I was just looking at my watch the whole time, or I'm looking down? How would that come across to you? So these are all things that can make a direct impact, me, how I feel confident, but how other people perceive you as well. So these are all things to bear in mind with kind of things that hold you back. And these are reasons that we have that self-doubt. And what? If you are asking a question, do you put your hand all the way up, or do you just put it a little bit up? Because that can make a difference with how involved you're feeling and want to be. You put your hand all the way up, you're fully invested in taking part in that conversation. Halfway it's like, it's fine if someone else answers the question. You're only half there. If you're half there, the person who's there is thinking, oh, they're not even interested. I'm not going to even pick on them. I'll pick on somebody else to answer the question. So it takes 2 to tango. You feed off each other. Confidence is something that spreads. The other thing, and this is linked actually to the fact at the start, confidence, how you sound can really make a difference. Do you speak factually and talk about just what it is, short and sweet? Or do you give a very long-winded explanation when you're trying to explain something? Because I always say to people, when you're going in at an interview, at a pitch, somebody asks you a question, elevator pitch, when you go into a networking event and you have to have a 10-second update of who you are, you want to be short and sweet, right? You want to be intriguing. You want people to ask you, oh, that's interesting, tell me more. And then you can start going into the details. If you start going into details straight away, you might lose people before they even know what the point of what you're saying is, right? And these are things to bear in mind with confidence and how you come across to others as well. So you guys have already shared lots of examples just now in the chat. Rimli, are there any more kind of statements in the chat before I kind of reveal some of the other responses on this?
No, ma'am, there are no more chats here.
Perfect, great, okay. So some of this is just an example of some of things, and you've just actually talked about a lot of this yourself, you know, when somebody is a role model, when somebody's out there and they appear confident, they could appear in so many different ways. They have great attitudes, they have personalities, they don't appear nervous, they just really appear as we call confident, someone that just knows what they're doing, somebody that you feel you can trust them. They appear mentally strong as well, right? You don't know what they're going through, but they just appear like that. Oh, this is somebody that has that sort of that figure that we want to look up to with us. They look like they're standing really tall. They have a great posture. They seem successful. They feel powerful. They could be an expert in whatever it is they do. They command that respect, right? If somebody's confident, you respect them. They always appear focused as well. They really own what it is they're doing and what they're talking about, you know? So think about this, that presence, whether it's stage presence, whether it's remote presence, how you speak, the tone of your voice, how are you captivating your audience, you know? And the calm, uniform tone. Quite often they just rarely seem very with it, very focused. You're really good at listening. That empathy is really, really there with them, right? Think about that. Somebody who's really confident actually feels like they understand you. They could be a politician that is speaking. They don't know you personally, but the ones that you really gravitate towards are the ones that you feel like they're talking to you directly, right? They feel like they're listening to your issues. They understand what it is you're going through. Ultimately, everybody, I don't know who was in your mind when you thought of the examples that you shared in the chat or what's here right now, but everybody is unique. Every single role model person, even if you think of your mother or your father, they're very different, and yet they stand out in different ways. A relative, somebody at school, a sports personality, a teacher of some sort, they're all unique and different in their own ways. So that's something I really wanted to share because it's such an important part to understand and acknowledge that uniqueness in us to understand what that self-confidence is about. So we've talked a little bit about this, but really what is that part of self-belief and why is it so important? So I want you guys to think of when you all raised your hands in the poll at the start that you shared that you've at some point had self-doubt or lost confidence. I want you to think back to a moment when that happened. And then I want you to think of that, and then we're going to discuss a little bit about that. I'll share with you a personal story on that one. So when I was young, quite young, my mom, she signed me up for Indian classical dancing. I was learning Bharatanatyam. And when I was really, really young, I was really nervous to get on a stage in front of an audience of people. I thought, what happens if I forget the moves, or I can't hear the music, or something happens? I would think of excuses. I just couldn't do that. And I thought, what, everyone's looking at me. So my mom would say to me, is that, and because she was like, well, what is it you're scared of? I said, well, I don't like all these faces looking at me, like they feel like they're judging me on something. So my mom was like, well, Rita, you know the beat really well. And I was also really good at improvising. I could go to parties and I could just make up a dance move. She goes, remember, you can do that, Rita. So if you forget something, just do something to the beat. Nobody knows if you're doing something, right? Even if you're in a group, you could always kind of picture it and come back on track. You just pause, you get your track on back. But my biggest thing, my mum said to me, she taught me this hack, and I still use this hack today, is that when you feel nervous, don't look at people directly, look a little bit above their heads. When you're on a stage, they can't tell, they still think you're looking at them, but you're looking above, so you're not going to get nervous anymore. And then the light's going to come in and you can't even see the audience anyway. So this same hack I started to use when I got older and I'm presenting in a room, giving a keynote speech or something, there's like thousands in the room. I can't look at each individual person because they're too far away anyway. But just pausing and giving eye contact or looking a little bit above people's heads, they feel special, and that will take the nervousness out as well. It works even in a board meeting. Just look at people, but you get nervous, look a little bit above their heads. So it's just things like that are hacks that you learn over the years. So I just wanted to share that story with you. And I want you to think about, because of that, how I felt. I felt just nervous, I felt scared. That was a big thing for me. I want you guys to think about, how did that impact you? What is it about that that makes you, why is this important? What did that do to you? What did you do about it? You know, did you just run away from that and never do it again? Or did you try and think, you know what, I've got to solve this. I've got to think of something. In my case, my mum helped me with that one. And then we'll talk about that. So I don't know if someone wants to share in the chat, or I think I might have seen a raised hand, but I can't see it on my screen.
Yes, so, Dr. Dunya, she raised the hand. Ma'am.
Do you want to say something?
No, just when I was how we can overcome this, and the more we experience it, the more we are going to increase our confidence in lots of situations. And believe it or not, until now, I'm a teacher in the university, and each year, each new class, the first day, I use these techniques until now. Yes. So it's the same, no matter how many number of conference and events I've been main speakers, but still these techniques, and do whatever is suitable for you and the way that will make you confident. Not always my technique may help you, but you can take some hints of it, and then you are going to make it specialize in your way.
Absolutely. Dr. Dunya, thank you for sharing that. 100%. Couldn't agree with you more. Wonderful words of wisdom there. Thank you so very much. And Rimli, do we have anything in the chat?
No, ma'am, we don't have anything in the chat. Okay, Pratik has said that when I had a moment when I was in the downward ride in life, it was all dark for me. I could not stand up to certain expectations, as there were a lot. The criticisms and the mockery by the people around me made me feel bad. I lost my confidence and a part of myself.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing, Pratik, on that, and these are things that happen and affect all of us. Think of digital media, social media now. Think of cyber space and think of things where people get really ridiculed and embarrassed on a public platform. But also think about, how do you come over that? Generally, and you can actually look at the stats and research on this, when that happens, 2 weeks later, nobody cares again. It's gone. Social media has that thing, but in real life, what do you do? Over time, people think of something else as well. You just need to distract and move on. It's almost like if you fall over, you trip over. Yes, people talk about it, people will review it and look at it. But if you just get up and walk and just carry on, it will just get forgotten. People will move on to the next thing. That is life. The ones who feel the worst are probably us, the one going through it. But then afterwards, that would go.
Ma'am, there is a question that I have. Like often when we come across the self-doubt or anything, we always, especially me, I look for validation from the people who matter the most to me, or there are specific people. So when they reassure their kind words, or if they are positive, then I feel positive about it and I just move on. Like I have the courage. But there are so many among us who don't have such people to rely on, who don't have people to validate and give them the confidence that they don't have for themselves. So in such a case, such a scenario, like how one should deal with it.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rimli, and I'll actually come to that a little bit later in the presentation. But that's the thing, it's so important when you have these issues. For me, it was my mom when I was younger. Find your tribe, find your people, find your tribe. When you're younger, for me, it was my mom in that situation. It could be work colleagues. It could be your friend circle. It could be somebody you've seen on TV. It could be a role model that you've seen that they've gone and done something. You really admire what they've done with their life or certain situation, seen how they've dealt with negative publicity, but you've seen how they've dealt with it. That inspires you, right? So take that inspiration, but take inspiration. Don't try to do any of this yourself. That's the point. There is always an answer. There is always light at the end of the tunnel, I promise you. but there are people and a group of people that can really help you get there. So thank you for that. I will take a lot more questions at the end, I promise. But what I wanted to show you, and Rimli, I'm glad you brought that up actually, is because irrespective of what has happened, the outcome is something that you can help with. Remember at the start, I mentioned that, we can't, things happen in life. You can't control the rain, you can't control the weather, but whether you leave the house with an umbrella or the right footwear, you can control that, right? So you can change a little bit of the outcome. If you're wearing a dress, you're going to party and it's muddy everywhere, you can wear rain boots or something like that. That's up to you to do, or think about, what am I going to do? Or do I get changed? So things like that can help the outcome because of what you're doing. So these are sort of things that ultimately you've got to add up to that self-belief in yourself. Right, as Dr. Dunya mentioned, it's all about nonstop. You've got to keep on doing this over and over again. Confidence is a muscle. These are mere hacks that I'm sharing with you today, but you've got to do it. Remember these things and do it over and over again. Believe in yourself. You are in charge of your reaction. You control your own outcome in life. And these are sort of keys to mention as we go into the next parts of the presentation. So don't forget, when things go well, we don't do this enough. Acknowledge yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. Do that. We're really, really good at adding criticism and doing things like that, but sometimes we absolutely forget to take a small step and not be so harsh on ourselves. We are our biggest critiques in life. There's a lot of good with that, but there's also a little bit of, gosh, what am I going to do about that as well? So give yourself the credit. It's always the little things. Take small steps. Congratulate yourself on that. Take time to take in, if people are giving you feedback, don't just take it as a criticism and say, oh my gosh, that person would say that. Think about why they're saying it. Sometimes people don't have the greatest communication skills, but think about what they're saying. Sometimes people say things out of anger because they're going through something emotional, process that in a different way. But think about, okay, somebody's given me this feedback. What can I do to maybe address this future if I'm given the same presentation again? Acknowledge it, really take time to absorb the information, to think what is underlying, what are they saying, what can I do differently? Because that can really make a big difference in how we perceive it. Because one of the fears of that imposter syndrome that I talked about is the fear of what will people think? What will people do? So if you go and ask for feedback, take that feedback in. What can you do differently? Oh, people couldn't hear me. Oh, well, maybe I'll get a microphone next time. Maybe I'll plug it in or something like that. Think about what you can do differently. Break down the experiences. Think about what you could do differently, better, even if you did it really well. Think about why people say that they liked it. Remember this, and I keep saying this over again, even though situations can be out of your control, your reaction, how you deal with it is in your own hands. So grow your confidence, really, really take that time to invest in your own journey. So something I wanted to share a little bit now of what I call confidence mantras. This has worked for me personally, but this is up to you. I'm just sharing some hacks. It's up to you, what you think works for you. Try everything out. See what works, what you like doing, and then make that as part of your daily routine and make that into that confidence muscle. So a safe affirmation is something that can really help a lot of people. This is something that you say repeatedly to yourself, especially if you doubt yourselves a lot. If you are always giving presentations because that's your work, you are in a consulting role maybe, or you are always continue standing up and presenting case studies, and you're always doubting yourself. This is something to keep reminding yourself of. What is something that reminds yourself of something that you've done that you're proud of? Think about how great you are because of something. Remind yourselves of these little things. Oh yeah, I did do that. Gosh, I'm good. I did this, And think about somebody in your life. Rimli, when you asked me earlier about who is that person that can help, think of somebody who is a role model, that you look up to. How would you like them to see you as? Somebody that's close, whether it's a parent. For me, it's my kids. I'm their role model. I've got to think about what I do. They're looking at me and they're going to copy that. Right? They're going to react the way I react, and they're just going to end up doing it in their own way. So I've got to remember that as well. How would I like them to see me as? And that can really, really help in this journey as well. And then once you have this, put these in your head. I have an iPhone, I put it in my notes section. You can put Post-its up. It really is up to you. How do you remind yourself of these facets? Who's important to you? What are you doing? What is it great about you that you are really, really going to remind yourself of? Because it really needs to do that. You might have a bedside table, a fridge with a magnet, whatever it is, a desk, and post it. Anything that really helps you, this is something that can really, really work and help as well. So another mantra I like to think, and remember, what does the word mantra mean? Mantra is a routine. It's something that becomes part of your daily life. So something that helps other people is saying, a couple of you wake up in the morning, before you pick up your phone, before you look at the news of what's been happening before, just say some words to yourself that makes you feel good about yourself. Something passionate, start your day. Today I'm going to be happy. Today I'm going to be powerful. Today I'm going to give an amazing presentation. Today I'm just going to enjoy that day. Today I feel beautiful. Whatever it is, you remember a couple of words, and that's going to be your mantra for the day. Yeah, today's a beautiful day. It could be raining, but the plants, they're getting water today. Whatever it is, everything can be positive. So turn it in, wake up with 2 really positive words that it's going to manifest during your day. And then think of some sort of a mantra that you can repeat during the day, and repeat it with deep breaths. I'm unique. I'm strong. I've got this. Make up your own mantra. This is just one I like using. You use anything that works for you, but just, it's a mantra. It gets repeated, right? It becomes routine. Repeat this a few times in between breaths. And this is something that can really help. You could be nervous and you say this and suddenly it can help to relax you. And it's proven, it's scientifically proven, there's research out there. This actually really, really works. Do this as when needed. Repeat it throughout the day. So the next part is really talking about, okay, what can we do to really prepare ourselves? What about other people's perception? And then a little practical exercise I'd love you guys to try as well, are power poses. So I like to think of confidence as coming across as really 3 P's. Actually, there's a 4th as well I'll share with you. One is preparation. One is how you, perception, what other people think about you. Power poses. So one thing about preparation is when you go out and present a stage, when you're going to go out and you have a job interview, if you just walk in for the first time, it's probably not going to go great, right? You didn't prepare. Take the time to do your research. Take the time to prepare. Take the time to stand in front of a mirror or video yourself so you can see how you look. That's all part of preparing. If you're doing this on Zoom, practice with a friend, get a couple of folks after a meeting and say, hey guys, can you stay in for a bit? I'm just going to practice reading a line. Tell me how I sound, how I look. Do this as all part of the preparation stage. You can even open Zoom yourself and just start a meeting and pretend you're reading out. How do you look? How are you sitting? You can see that. It's always really good to do things like that. Perception. Dress the part that makes you feel confident. If you're walking into a big presentation, wear something that makes you confident, but also is comfortable. I remember when I did a presentation, straight after I had my kids, I wore high heels. I used to wear heels a lot. I do again nowadays, but I couldn't fit into my heels when I straight away had my kids. I could barely fit into my clothes. So when I did that, that was bad preparation for me, but also what did it do? I was hobbling, I was limping everywhere, right? So things like that, if I'm limping, how does it look to the other people? They don't think, oh, poor thing, she's wearing her heels after so many years. No, they're going to think, oh my gosh, like what? They're going to focus on that, not on what I'm saying. So this is all part of the perception and how you come across. And then power poses. This is something we're going to go and talk about now, which it's I like to think of as a fun exercise. If you're presenting, and this is something I wanted to share, especially if you're doing it to a virtual audience, you've got to remember your stage presence. This is something really, really important. How are you sitting? Background? Are there distractions going on? Because you know that when you are on a virtual seminar, it's a lot more easier to get distracted and to focus on anything but the presenter, because everyone has presentations these days. It's so easy to that. So to have a little think about, are there any distractions? The sound. What is your background? Are you opening your chest when you talk? Are you looking in the camera to give eye contact? The power of storytelling. That is telling your own personal stories. using stories so people remember them all. An example, when I gave you this presence, the story of me being on stage and I was nervous when I was a little girl. That's my story. And it's really powerful because it hopefully helps you remember certain skills a bit more. I like to think of when you're about to present is frame a problem. What is it you're trying to do? And then change the problem and your journey, the solution as a journey from the beginning to the end, because these are really ways of telling that story. What happened at the start? Oh my gosh, there's a problem. I was nervous. The solution was my journey. Well, this is the hack. This is what I was told. And then this is what happened at the end. Boom, it's a success story. So you're starting that and you're taking the listener on your journey with you. Keep it simple. Don't present too much. Maybe a few slides. Maybe ask, like I've been trying to do with you guys, trying to keep it a bit more interactive as well to get you involved. And one thing I shared in the previous slide is record yourself. Don't be afraid of doing that. You can actually see your body language. Listen to your own voice. What about your pace? Are you too quickly? Are you too slow? And this practice you deliver over and over again. The practice makes perfect, as they say. And don't forget to structure how you do your presentations. This is all part of that confidence essentials we talked about. We all feel better when we know there's a plan in place. So start your presentation with an agenda. People know, oh, okay, this is how we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Really take the time to structure that. You know, start off by kind of asking the room, do a poll, think of things like that. It really works. And try to make that eye contact. It's difficult when you're on Zoom because eye contact isn't looking at the pictures of everybody, it's looking at the camera. And you might have to practice that a few times to think, I'm looking at the camera, but I've got to remember to smile, or pretending I'm looking at people, but I'm actually looking at the camera. So these are different things to keep in mind, and that practice really helps with. And if you're in a meeting, take the time. If you're leading a meeting, take the time to ask other people, getting them involved. What do they think? What do they feel about different things? They're less likely to switch off that way if they feel engaged. And then these are different hacks, involve different people as you go into different scenarios. You're the leader, and these are just little points that we're just going to summarize what we just talked about. So really, really address that part, whether it's physical meeting or virtual meeting. Remember that tone of voice. Remember to fake it till you become it. So power poses. So this is actually the research by Dr. Amy Cuddy, and what she found in her research is that just by doing this for 2 minutes can change your actual body chemistry. So if you think about hormones in your body, what's needed, there are a couple of hormones that really kind of help with you feeling confident or nervous. The two hormones are testosterone and cortisol. So if you have a positive experience, you actually have more cortisol in your bloodstream, and you have less cortisol, more testosterone in the bloodstream and less cortisol. Cortisol is the one that makes you nervous, makes your palms sweaty if you're about to go and talk or go on a speech or do something that you're feeling a bit nervous about. So when you have a good experience, you're feeling good about yourself, you do a blood test there and then, you're going to find out your testosterone is higher, your cortisol is lower. On the other hand, if you're having a negative experience, it's the other way around. You'll find that your testosterone levels are slightly lower and your cortisol is increased. So these are things to bear in mind. So I want you to try a couple of these power poses for me now. So power poses are ones that open up your body, open up your frame. There is a couple I've shared here. Negative power poses, you might have done this. I know I've done it sometimes when you're not fully vested, or you're not feeling well, you've got a cold and you're not fully vested. You might be sitting with your arms crossed, you might be doing this. You might be just slouching a bit, and then it kind of curls up. And at that moment, if somebody asks you for your opinion, you're less likely to volunteer. But if you've got your body forward, you're opening your chest, you're more likely to be more engaged in that meeting. So I, guys, want you to now, wherever you are, just try the one on the right-hand side is the lady with her hands on the hips. I call it the Wonder Woman pose. You can call it anything you like, but I want you to just try where you are now. We'll do this for about 30 seconds. Just to see how you feel. So just start now, put your hands on your hips wherever you are, just try this. And then take a deep breath, open up your chest, take a deep breath, sit there just with your hands on your hips, just for 30 seconds. deep breaths. Think about how amazing the world is, what a beautiful day it is today. Now another couple of deep breaths. Great. Now, I would like somebody to tell me how that made you feel. Just put it in the chat, or feel free to put your hand up and can unmute you. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. If anyone whoever did it managed to do it, just write in the chat.
Pratik says, ma'am, empowered and confident.
Empowered and confident. Amazing.
Albert says, I feel good.
Good.
So Maya also said she feels good.
Good. Well, I'm glad you had a chance to do that. So
Everyone feels good, ma'am.
Oh, good, good. Thank you. I'm glad you shared that, and that's the point of this. So the research shows 2 minutes, right? You just did it for about 30 seconds. So the point being, these are little hacks that you can do, whether it's the confidence mantra that I shared, whether it's something else, whether it's the power poses that we just talked about now, just 30 seconds. And it makes you feel better. So imagine if you're going on stage and presenting, you're about to walk into a meeting, just doing that, a couple of deep breaths, look what the change is. It can really make a difference. So there's little things like this that can really make a difference in that. So just to really summarize, what are the confident essentials that we talked about today? And these are things that you can do after today that I want you to actually try and do that. One thing you could do is take a risk, do one thing once a week that takes you out of your comfort zone, right? Because then you think, what's the worst thing that could happen? One thing, it could be that you are a perfectionist and everything needs to be sitting a certain way on your desk or at home. Your comfort zone could be making something bent one day, just do it. And initially that's going to feel so uncomfortable, and then you're going to start getting used to it. It's things like that that can make you more confident just by getting yourself out of that comfort zone. Try finding your own sort of mantras, your positive self-affirmations. Try that. See how that makes you feel. Just repeat it to yourself. Repeat it. Every time you're about to sit in an exam or you're doing something, repeat these affirmations to yourself. Try to always look and feel your best, because that's going to help you feel a bit more of that self-confidence yourself. You feel good, you exert that confidence. Confidence is contagious, don't forget. Be self-aware. Remember, we talked about that preparation and that perception. You have to be self-aware. You can't just go out there thinking, okay, I've done a confidence mantra, everybody. I've got my hands on my hips. Now I'm going to deliver a presentation, but I didn't prepare for it. You have to prepare. You've got to do all of that. Don't forget to do that. There's no shortcuts in this. You've still got to do that. But when you give your presentation, look at your tone, your voice. What's your pitch? What is your body language? These are things you can control and do. And remember, practice makes perfect. Do this over and over again. The more you do it, the less nervous you'll be and the easier it will become. And the less you're going to have to worry about it so much. Practice these power poses before you present. Just try them. You saw them today for 30 seconds. Try them again and see how they go before you're about to do something like that. Don't forget to always believe in yourself. Fake it till you become it. It's a muscle.
Nora?
And remember, the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. You're in control. You can control your reactions to this. It comes from within you. You already have this from within you. And changing your body can change your mind. Your mind can change your behavior. And that is what can change your outcomes. You've got this. And on that note, I'd like to end this presentation and open up to any questions that you might have. Any questions, any comments, or anything like that.
I really thanks
Yes.
a lot, Dr. Rita. Really, it is very interesting, inspiring, and exciting. Even though this information, we know maybe most of us about it, but you are pushing us to practice more and more. And that's the good thing about even the examples you have given is great examples about your life, or about also you know, how we practice confidence and so on. We're just to here you know, crossroads with what we do in inspiration economy. We believe, of course, in doing such practices, but I believe also from, again, personal experience, as you shared your personal experience, where I built hardiness, I dealt with uncertainty, and I taken many poses in life. I believe that the confidence also come. Maybe this is momental confidence you spoke about more, but if we want to do confidence and for a complete community or a complete generation, we really need first of all, the intergeneration, you know, to speak to each other, the different generations. We need to increase the moment of pauses, that people, they reflect on their life, they take, you know, every now and then decision, like you taking a decision, you change your career at one time. I did that many times, actually, more than 30 times. So I believe that taking a pause is very important. We have written about it a lot, by the way. We have many papers on that issue, because we if through whether quantitative data or qualitative data from our even experience in taking projects itself for changing community. The other thing is about uncertainty. The more people deal with uncertainty, they are going to discover actually many potential intrinsic powers, and the confidence is one of the currencies that we have in life. The third thing, which is very important for us, is hardiness, and hardiness doesn't come by such only practices. It needs really to get engaged, as I mentioned earlier, maybe to you before we start this lecture, and get involved with our community. Just being away, living for ourselves, and now we are seeing a generation which we are all proud of about, and they call them the generation me, or me generation, but they are not really engaged a lot with their community. They want to create a success story for themselves, and they have a passion for creating a legacy. But I don't see that how much we can, you know, join this together to bring to improve their hardiness. No, you are obliged to create a change in any community you are living in, whether you are in the West or the East. And it's not a solution that you, for example, run away from a certain situation. And for that, we have, as you said, imposter syndrome. We have having many mental diseases actually now among youth, which is we never seen in the previous generations. Even the generation, I'm the baby boomer generation, and I have written, by the way, a book about, you know, youth economy and youth challenges and so on. We have a journal about youth economy, and we really are astonished in how much, even though they are in the social media side and they are strong in social media, but when it comes to life and seeing bringing solution to life, so far I see that this generation doesn't have this enough hardiness. And I believe that confidence, we discover the currency of confidence and how we build it through, again, the techniques you mentioned, or the projects, or we can really bring a better generation than even that we are seeing today. This is maybe my comment about your excellent lecture. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. No, that's very, very powerfully said and summarized. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you. So I can see some hands are raised. I know, Farhin, you had your hand raised. Did you still have a question? And then I can see Sumaya and Dr. Dunya.
Yes, ma'am, I have. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for your great speech. It actually helped a lot and helped me to learn new things. Ma'am, I want to ask you a question, if it's okay with you. And my question is, like, many times we fail in our life in many things. That's like a certain thing right now. And like when we fail in some things after doing a lot of hard work, also we lose confidence. Then we feel like, what's next? Why we should do it again? And we lose the confidence of doing it again, thinking like, what if we fail again in our life in future? So in that situation, what do you suggest? What we should do? How to gain that confidence back? Then we should try it again.
Yeah, you know what, Farhin, thank you for asking a question. So I mentioned I started my own company, Uma, right? So by definition, I'm an entrepreneur. When you're an entrepreneur, failure is your best friend. It has to be, right? I joke that, you know, I call myself Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. right? Because the amount of doors that would be closed when I first started. So Uma, my company, is now 6 years old, right? When I first started, even though I had a business connections and stuff, it's so hard. People would say, no, 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 because they didn't understand the concept. I was trying to sell a philosophy, a way of empowering people, but people didn't understand it once upon a time. I think I heard probably 99 no's, 99 before I got the one yes. But I carried on because I was so passionate about mission. I knew I had the data to back it up. I knew I had to continue, but sometimes I had to change the way I did it, right? Think about Albert Einstein, right? Think about how
J.K. Rowling.
You know,
How you do that.
Yes, exactly, J.K. Rowling, right? Think
Yeah.
of all of their stories and these people. There's not a single successful. Think about the really successful people today, and every one of the successes, because it's a lifetime of failures. Failure is what success is about. You cannot be successful without having done those things. You cannot walk unless you learn to crawl first. You cannot crawl, you cannot stand up unless you're falling down over and over again. As a child, when you stand up on that playground, you get cuts and bruises. But do you get up, or do you just cry for your mama or your papa to come and get you straight away? That's the difference. You need to fall, you need to work things out. And that's what it is. It's resilience, it's grit. So I would say, Farheen, 100% you need to fail, because that is what makes you stronger, and that is going to increase your passion. That's going to make you stronger as a leader later on. It will fulfill your purpose as well sooner. So keep failing. That's my advice to be successful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your advice. It's actually going to help me a lot. I feel so. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're very, very welcome. And then Sumaya, I saw your hand was raised next.
Good evening, and thank you for that lovely presentation. You talked about self-confidence. So I wanted to ask you a question. For those of us who work in the field, there will be certain times that you are with the reality of life. Either you're dealing with people who are traumatized, or you're dealing with people who are victims of violence. Sometimes you can't help it, emotions take over you, and you have to act as a neutral party, as being objective. Those emotions weigh down your self-confidence, because you're dealing with victims of conflict, of violent conflicts. You will meet people that have lost loved ones, have lost properties, have nearly escaped death. These are the challenges we face in life and in the job, and makes weigh down our self-confidence. What will you advise in this situation, please?
Yeah, you know, Samaya, that's a really, really powerful question that you asked. I would say, you know, when we talked about during the presentation, I mentioned that we can't control what life gives us or the situation sometimes that we're put in. But what we can control is our attitude to that situation, right? Are you one of those people that you just complain about everything? Because you can have the most beautiful, privileged upbringing in the Western world ever, but are you happy? How many stories have we heard of folks that have got everything? They might have the most amazing riches and 5 properties and this and that, and they're flying a private jet, all sorts of things are happening, and yet they've been hospitalized for depression, or they're on drugs or something. They're doing something that isn't happiness. They're not fulfilled. Versus somebody who might live a lifetime of poverty, and yet they get the beautifulest, the biggest joy by the littlest of things. So it's the attitude, it's your mindset. What are you doing with that? If something happens, do you look at it from, there's the proverb, the way you see life. Do you see life as a glass that is half empty or half full? I always see things half full. You know, I come from, born and brought up in London. It rains almost every day in London. I don't like the rain. I just don't, you know, but I always see it as like, I can't do anything about it, but look, at least the plants are getting watered. At least that's the climate. When I moved to America, the one thing I missed was the smell of that rain. So little things like that, right? There was always a reason for everything. that connects you and makes you who you are, right? So the point is that you can't control the situations, but you can control your attitude. The other thing as well is that if you are in a position to be a mentor to somebody, I love mentoring, I do a lot of mentoring, but specifically in some of the populations that you mentioned, Sumaya, you know, survivors of domestic violence, you know, girls in prostitution, women in incarcerated that have been put in prison, in jail, and about to release. A lot of people won't touch these people. And when I mentor, what I tell them is about, you have to take the time to listen to people. Mentoring isn't just about saying, oh, do this, this, and that, and everything will be great. No, it won't. You know, who are you going to kid with that statement? A lot of it is about just taking the time to listen and understand that people have circumstances, but then how can you help them feel better? Empowerment comes from within. Remember, we shared that confidence, empowerment, it comes from within. Empowerment is also contagious. If you smile at somebody was more likely to smile back, right? If you see somebody's having a bad day, they've gone through something that you can't even imagine in your own circumstance, but you smile at them, you give them a hug, you say, you know what, I understand that, or I'm here, if you want to talk, I'm here. That is very powerful, and somebody can feel empowered because of that. So I think, Sumaya, what I'm trying to say is that we are all change makers. All of you here are change makers. But the way to change the world is one person, one attitude, one mindset, one act of kindness at a time. Start with
I'll try to keep that in mind. Thank you.
I think I saw Dr. Dunia's hand up.
Yes, first I would like to thank you a lot for this nice presentation. And as Dr. Muhammad said, although for us who are older, not in the youth groups, we've experienced this, we've been through it everyday life.
I can't hear you, Dr. Dunia. I don't know if anybody else had the same problem.
Yes, I think she's moving around. Dunia?
You're happy?
Oh, I can hear you now. We lost you for about 30 seconds, Dr. Dunia.
Can you repeat?
Okay,
can you repeat? Yeah, try not to move.
Okay. Yes. So, I was thanking you about this nice presentation. It's very useful. And although this is our day-to-day, we experience this in our age group, but it's it's a good reminder for us. And it's good also, it will be new techniques for the youth, of course. And one of the main things that increase our confidence is the result of our work that we do. And this is a message for the youth. So for example, when I work with this group in a project, and I'm trying to change my community, my society, whatever, when I'm really satisfied with my result, in that moment, I feel more confidence when I'm going to present it to others. So always make sure that you are so confident with the result of the work you are going to present. And the more you make result with your community, you make others happier, even when you're presenting research, you know that you've done a good research, you worked in it perfectly, you really have the recommendations, the results that you want to present, you get more satisfied to present it, and the other way, and that will make you more confident when you present it and talk about it.
Very
and thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Dunia. Very, very well said. Very good, words of wisdom. And absolutely, thank you for sharing those wonderful thoughts.
We have another hand raised, Aisha.
Hi, Aisha.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope everybody doing fine. Actually, thank you, Doctor, for this nice, actually guests and nice presentation. I came late, but I was able to catch some point. And I would like to add what you mentioned. We have in our religion, Islam, Sayyidina Yusuf, when he was in the jail, and after he go out of the jail, and he asked the king that he said, اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني عليها لحفيظ عليم. There is two characteristics here that he want to be, because there's expectation that they will be hunger on that time. So he said to him, give me an opportunity, because I'm trustworthy, as well as I have the knowledge to take care of this business. So having the knowledge, having the ability, trusting in yourself that you're going to do the business, actually, this is really could be part of the success. So to be success, you have part of, the main issues of the confidence to be success in the work that you are doing, that you have to believe in yourself. So our Jesus, Joseph, when he said, our prophet Joseph, when he said that I have the knowledge, and he said, I'm trustworthy. So if you feel that you are trustworthy as well as you have the knowledge, this confidence will give you a kind of inside, trust on yourself and believing on yourself, and then you can do the business in the better manner. Thank you.
Aisha, thank you so much for sharing that. That is absolutely spot on. And I love that personal example. And that's what I'm talking about. So if you are going to present, if you're going to talk in something else, then please give your personal examples as well, like you just did now. It makes everything come to life. It really provides context. It's absolutely beautifully said. Thank you so much. But to your point, exactly. It's all about, there is one thing about saying be confident, but the other thing is, how are you preparing for it? What are you doing? Get the knowledge first. Speak with an educated mind. Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that.
We have another one hand raised. Sir, please continue. You may please ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's not a question. It's a thank for Dr. Abu Hajji and Dr. Dunya for choosing their elite guest here speaking to us. Since we are not in the age that you are advising, but we are sharing, and trying to participate at least in this conferences like that. But in my not advice, as it is a comment that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about the history or the story of Solomon. When he checked out all the birds, then he found out about the booby. It's not there. So the Solomon was sending signal everywhere to find him. There was no, finding where is he. But in the fact, when the bird came, he was having a confidence. And he was talking to Solomon as a king and as a prophet, saying, I find an info that you don't have it yourself. This is a big confidence from a bird against, as a prophet. And this is what I'm saying. If you have a fact, not a theories, and talking to the others with facts that you already tried, that you already have gone through. So this is giving the people the facts. It's better than giving theories and ads, what like the people there in the social media doing, just giving false to the others about their, marketing or whatever they are doing. In fact, we need to have, the truth and to spread the truth and tell the truth, tell the others the facts instead of telling, false information. This is what I'm trying, that whatever you have, if you have the facts, I think it is 99% of your address to the audience will get, inshallah, the acceptance from everybody. Thank you, Rita, for your information. I really enjoyed what you have said.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing just now. I think that's very, very, wise words and something that everyone can take back about the facts and really the knowledge of why you need that going forward. So thank you so much. Really appreciate your words.
Thank you.
We have one more participant, Albert. Yep. You may please continue.
Oh, hi, Albert. I think you're on mute, Albert.
Albert, please unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for me to be part of this. Like when you started, you said you are born and brought up in London. Yeah, I was born and brought up in Nigeria. I'm here in Nigeria. I really enjoyed the meeting and how their lectures and everything. When you're talking about self-confidence that is come from within. My question I want to ask, sometimes the system you're in may even be bringing down your self-confidence. But you answered it partly when you said it depends on how you react to the challenges that you're facing whenever you're having those challenges. So I want to really ask, how can I improve whenever the system is really working down on me for me to have low self-confidence, even though I'm trying or striving to make sure that I improve my self-confidence? So how can I improve despite the system not being favorable to me? Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question, Albert, in terms of like how can you do that? You know, what is it you can do to kind of help yourself with that confident journey? One thing I would say is that, and some of the hacks we've shared today is that, you know, confidence is a muscle. It's not something that you can do once and that's it. It's a behavior, it's a mindset. It's something that comes over time. It can take years of practice. It can take a long time to actually get that fully vested thing of being able to switch it on when you need it. But the first thing is to believe in yourself, right? What is it about you say? Have you prepared? Do you know your stuff? You know what you're saying rings true. The other thing I would say with confidence is when you are in a conversation with somebody, take the time first to listen to somebody else. One of the biggest messages of empowerment isn't just to say what's on your mind, but it's first to listen to the other person first. Listen, take the time to understand, absorb and understand what the other person is saying first. And then you are reacting based upon that, based upon what you're going to say. So sometimes it could be situational, as you mentioned, Albert, but you know, it really depends on the circumstances. But a lot of it is just, you know, you over time, just over and over knowing, believing in yourself that, you know, I'm going to go into a situation. If it's a new situation, that's fine too. Sometimes you can take time to observe that situation first. It doesn't mean you have to be out there and be very extroverted. You can be a very introverted personality and still be very confident, right? So it really depends on you and how you're going to process that information. So I say take the time to observe, to listen, watch your surroundings. There is an expression about reading, learn to read the room. So see the situation that you're in before you go and react accordingly. And I think that's sort of part of one of the hacks of confidence as well. So I hope that helps in your journey, Albert.
Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. So we have come to the end of this wonderful session, and today we learned a lot, and the experience was surreal. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful insights and the way you have guided each and every one of us. So, Buheji sir, would you please like to say a few words?
Yes, thanks a lot, Ramli, for managing this session. And as you can see, Dr. Rita, that many people are reacting positively for whatever you have mentioned and presented. And I hope that we practice these in our daily life. And as you said, it's a journey. And it is a type of mindset that doesn't come by coincidence. We need to, most of us who are there today, good speakers, lecturers, experts, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Till today, sometimes we lose this type of, this thread of confidence that we needed, but we emphasize it through just doing it. Always I have a saying, we say, And also there is, as they mentioned about, in all the different religions, if you don't know, you are not going to change anything. And if you know, also you are not going to change anything. You only change it by doing. It's nothing to do with knowing or not knowing only. The profound knowledge comes with doing. And I claim, and maybe always I say this, and I'm not bluffing, but this is the truth. I claim that I have taken more than 600 projects around the world in my life. I claim that 90% of them, I never done a project before that to feel that I am confident to do this project. But with that, I taken it and I learned on that project actually. And people was, many times they were commenting what I'm doing. They think that I am the expert. They don't know that I learn with them actually. Okay, and maybe I don't say I learn on them, but I learn with them in this journey. That made me to believe on myself. Oh, I am expert, and so and so. Whether it's a different sector, it's a different country, it's a different environment. It is and it's whatever the challenge it is. Maybe it's a long-term complex problem, but with that, I build the confidence. So a confidence sometimes also it is it doesn't need only maturity, and it doesn't need only that we try, but it will come with time. The more you try, the more you do, and that's why, by the way, and today you touch up a very important point for inspiration, because inspiration always we say you need to you can't give inspiration to people, currency of inspiration, unless you can take inspiration from other people. So it is a two-way business. Confidence is a two-way business, and we need to build it actually through, again, as I said, practicing in our environment, trying to inspire the world itself, feeling that we have we meant to be here in this life. We are not meant not to be animals or insects or another aliens. Okay, we are humans. We have a purpose in life. Once we know that we have a purpose in life, this confidence will come also faster than what we expect. One of our main challenges today with youth, and most people, not only youth, most people, unfortunately, they don't have life purposefulness clear. And this life purposefulness, as you have built in yours, for example, as I can see, you change the whole career, you change the whole country, you go from one country to the other. Okay, and because there is in search of life purpose. I don't say that we need to have always a clear life purpose, but just searching for the life purpose itself, it will help us to build a long life learning and also a confidence at the same time. Thank you very much again for this excellent lecture that engaged all of us and brought many people that I didn't see for a long time. So these two guys that came from Saudi Arabia, Dr. Aisha and also Dr. Jam'an, Sheikh Jam'an, they are both experts, inspiration economy experts, but we didn't see them since the COVID. So I'm very happy to see them today here. Thank you.
صحيح, حياك الله. We miss you a lot, and we miss the Dr. Adina too, and all Bahrain.
Thank you, ma'am.
جزاكم الله خير. حياكم الله خير.
شكرا دكتور عائشة.
لا, شكرا.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has really been a pleasure and an honor for me. And I love your energy level, how much you participated. The questions were excellent. And this is what it's all about. You guys are the future leaders. You're the ones who are going to carry forward little techniques like that to make your lives better. So thank you all again for having me, and good luck in your future journeys.
Thanks a lot. And I'm sure, as I said, before I give it back to Remli, that we are gonna work together in very different projects that maybe one of them is to build this confidence in our next generation, hopefully. Thanks a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Would love that.
Thank you.
Doctor, please find for us something to decrease the stress. We're being so stressed working for 65 countries. Just help us how to get some person that he can educate us how to decrease our stress with what's going on around us, the world, and the responsibility toward community, special youth.
Yeah, you know what's funny, you mentioned stress, because that's one thing that the whole world, everybody, no matter where you're from, also goes through. So maybe we can do another session on stress, stress relief or something. But yeah, but little things on stress, just very, very quickly. I like to do hobbies. You know, as you get older, people decrease hobbies that you did when you were younger. I'm now in that mindset where I'm like, I'm trying to get my hobbies back. When I was younger, I mentioned dancing, right? I stopped dancing for many years when I was in the work, when I had my kids. Now I'm doing it again. You know, in my local neighborhood in New York, I found a community dance center and we're doing it again. And that gives me such happiness. It's a stress relief. I love painting. I haven't painted in a long time. I've started to do it again, right? So similarly, find out some hobbies or things you used to enjoy, things that you thought, you know what, I love that. Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Whether it's going for a walk, whether it's talking to friends, going for a cup of tea or coffee, whatever it is, that is your stress relief. You've got to build that into your daily life.
Okay, Remli.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful session, wonderful learning experience that we had today. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again. Your presence has been a wonderful blessing to us. We have again talked about confidence in a way that we should be thinking about it, the way it defines us, the way it defines everyone around us. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this platform. Thank you so much, Dunya ma'am, and all the team leaders and all the interns who have been so patient, and they have given us their time, and they have given us their energy in learning, in becoming better leaders of the future. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Rita. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.